Hey, hi, hello, and welcome back to the Aussie Roll Call podcast. This is episode 23, and in it, Kate and I speak to superstars of the Aussie tabletop scene, Storybrewers Roleplaying. The Storybrewers are Hayley Gordon and V. Hendro, and you might know them from arguably their most famous game, Good Society, a Jane Austen role-playing game. We talk about so many delightful things in this particular episode, including how they got into role-playing games, what writers' room games are, and ways and techniques that you can bring people into collaborative storytelling experiences where they have an authorial voice. We talk about their upcoming releases, community content for Good Society, and the magic of collaborative storytelling. Plus, we'll be sharing news about the upcoming Conquest Games Market here in Melbourne. So, without further ado, let's jump into the interview with Storybrewers Roleplaying. Hey, hi, and hello. Welcome back to the Aussie Roll Call podcast. I am one of your hosts, Stevie, and I am joined by one of my co-hosts, Kate.
I'm back, I promise, I'm alive.
And today we are interviewing Hayley and V from Storybrewers Roleplaying. So, Hayley and V, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience for those who may not know you and what you do?
Hello, yes, we are Hayley and V. And as mentioned, we are Storybrewers Roleplaying. We make games that are emotional, collaborative. A lot of them are about history, not all of them. Very kind of like feelings-led experiences.
Yeah, hi, I'm V. I'm the other half of Storybrewers Roleplaying. I think we've been designing games since about 2017. So it's been a hot few years there. I also do a bit of freelancing as a graphic designer. So I've worked on some Monte Cook games. I worked on Land of Eam that came out recently, and Daggerheart as well, a little bit.
There are some very big names in your portfolio, V, but I feel like you're underselling some of your own games here because people might know you for what is your biggest game, would you say, that you've released?
Yes, we haven't talked about that. So we've designed quite a few games in our 7 years of designing now. Our biggest game would probably be Good Society, which is a Jane Austen RPG. We had a core game, and then we also released an expansion which had 6 different expansions that was in the style of like Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, wherein they would be like a Regency story plus some unexpected part of that. So we've also done a series of one-shot games called the Little Box series, which I really love. They're like very approachable
I have
games.
them on my shelf. I'm like, yep.
Do you?
They're right there.
Yeah, you can whip them up at any convention, or if there's like just like a more casual night and you don't want to scare people off straight away and you're trying to introduce people to RPGs, they're like perfect for that.
Yeah, I ran Saltfish and Almanacs at Conquest this year, and it was so much fun. People really enjoyed it.
I saw your picture. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a very cute story.
I have pulled out Village Song with friends around a dinner table, so that's yeah.
You have obviously been designing for 7 or so years. How did you reach this point? Where did you start? Like, what got you into role-playing games?
Before we were into role-playing games, we were into board games. So you don't have any video if you're listening to this, but if you were, you would see a board game shelf behind us that is astronomically crowded and is deeply in need of a thorough going over, but we will never part with any of our beloved board games, so it will never happen. And then one day V brought home a game that it kind of looked like a board game, but it wasn't, and that was Mouse Guard. And V ran that game for us, and we were like, what is this? I don't understand how I win. All the things you struggle with when you roleplay for the first time. But it did start off like a big curiosity from us to find out what it was all about. And yeah, we kind of got the bug.
Yes, we really love playing in like every aspect of our lives, and we have a whole bunch of curiosity. So once we started like role playing, it's such a cool medium because you're already creating from the get-go, and so you're already, by participating in the hobby, making something. And so it wasn't that big of a jump from doing that to making more things for the game, making a game that doesn't work, making a game that works maybe slightly better. And I think once we got to that point and we were deep into home brewing, that we were just we just made a game just for the fun of it. And yeah, that was a last for the awful sea. We ran at a few local conventions, had a lot of fun with it. And then we just decided like, oh, let's just crowdfund this. And like as a way of doing something with it, getting it out there in the world. And we've not looked back since then.
That is so cool. And yeah, the line between player and creator in TTRPGs is not as clear or distinct as it might be in, say, like video games, for example, because once you do start playing, you are also creating. So it's very easy to blur that line between player and creator, which is really interesting. And it's fantastic to hear how you've personally made that jump over that line into being full-on creators and obviously full-on players as well. So my next question is, what advice would you have for anyone who was thinking about getting more into creating TTRPGs?
Follow your passions. Like make the weird games that you want to play most, because you're going to have to play test them a lot, and you may as well enjoy playtesting your games. But it's also like that's your voice, right? Like if that's the stories that you want to bring to the world, it's really like a way to figure out what's most interesting for yourself, and that niche will grow. You'll find other like people who will like that, and that's awesome. Like I said, if you're playing a role-playing game, it is not like a big stretch to become a creator. And I think the difference maybe between just making something for an established system or within a framework versus like what you want to do is just your own unique voice. So what does interest you? What kind of stories do you wish you could tell? And that's, I think, a great starting point. And from there, you'll figure out all the other different hats that you inevitably have to figure out to like finish the job.
Yes, the multidisciplinary side of TTRPG creation. It's not just writing and designing, it's all of the other things, the marketing and the art and the graphic design and playtesting and...
Yeah. And like, you don't have to force yourself to do everything and like all at once. Definitely start with the things that you love to do the most, and like it's okay if everything else is placeholder or you just slowly build up those skills. Like I'm actually a self-taught graphic designer, and the reason I taught myself graphic design was literally for that reason, because we had to put one of our games into a layout before we released it. So we got it to the point where we're like, we probably should make this look good, and then learn to do that at that point. I've always found it easier to learn things when there was like a concrete project that I care about that I want to like do. So that's been our way of learning new hats. It's like get to that point and then decide and then be like, okay, now we should probably learn how to do this next step. Otherwise it's too overwhelming.
That is so true. Truer words have never been spoken.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Very, very true. So, out of all of the games that you've played, including like that first game of Mouse Guard and playtesting all of your games and the home games and the home brewing, all of that stuff, do you have a favorite game-related memory?
A single memory to pick out from a million billion sessions.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a session. It could be a moment you've had about games or gaming. Yeah, it's worse. I'm making it worse. I'm sorry.
Or maybe something that you really enjoy about TTRPGs specifically that you don't get from other types of games.
I think for me, one of the most memorable experiences were like early playtesting experiences, because there's nothing weirder than having a bunch of people who you don't know try a thing that you made to see if it's any good or what the problems are. But then when you get further into it, it becomes less about analyzing or dissecting or trying to fix it, and more just about what's the raw experience, the flavor, the impact that it creates, and seeing the way that something that you make can cause people to tell stories that affect their emotions, that are meaningful, that stay with them. It was a very amazing experience for me. definitely still stays with me. I remember some of the early playtests, even though what we were playtesting wasn't great just for that reason.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a fantastic memory. And what about you, V? What's your memories?
I feel like a lot of our games, right, they lean into this very collaborative, emotional space, and they sort of ask a lot of the players coming into it to really build characters that are deep, multifaceted, and that people really invest in them. Both you as the person playing that character, but other people on the table are like heavily invested in your character too. Like you can imagine that for a game like Good Society, which is like Bridgerton, Jane Austen. It's very much about the ensemble cast and all their relationships with each other. But a lot of our games have this kind of aspect to them. And what I've loved seeing, like we have a Discord where people come and play the Storybrewers games, and we run some. And over the years, the thing that I've loved seeing is how much people are able to put the emotions into their play, and sort of like sometimes there's like everyone's heard of Bleed, where you sort of get all those feelings from playing, and sometimes they're difficult to deal with. But at the same time, sometimes it is also just this transformative experience where you're sharing your like feelings with a bunch of people in this like amazing directed way that I don't think I've really experienced in many other like mediums of, I guess, hobby gaming. It's so unique to role-playing games, and so unique because your voice as a storyteller is unique, and you're combining that with everyone else at the table. And the more emotion you put into it, it's like you really can't hide who you are sometimes when you're playing that kind of game. And that's why we have safety tools, of course, and everything like that. But I always say, like, I feel like role-playing games would make a very great first date, because I feel like I would know so much about someone after an experience role-playing with them.
Great or terrible. Yeah.
Great or terrible, but at least it'll get it done quickly.
Evaluative. Yeah.
Evaluative tool.
There is a bunch of YouTube channels launching now of like my first 150 dates in role-playing games.
Oh my God.
Role-playing speed dating night.
Oh. I can't think of worse things, but I'm struggling. Like, that is a terrifying prospect.
So before we jumped on this call, and this is sort of like the flip side of what you were just talking about, V, we were talking about an emerging style of game, which is like writer's room games. Do you want to explain to the audience what that means and how it is a bit different from what you were just talking about?
I mean, I don't necessarily think the two are mutually exclusive, but I will circle back around to that. So basically, when you hear the term writer's room games or like authorial games, it's the idea that I suppose the original like predominant convention in role-playing games that we're used to from the world's most popular fantasy role-playing game and other games like it is the idea that you play your character and that there's somebody who is a GM who plays the entire rest of the world. And so when you are playing your character, you are playing them according to what your character knows and what their personality is. And you are limiting the ways that you interact with the story to the ways your character interacts with the story. And the other ways that the story change is in the hands of the GM. And like a good GM might invite you occasionally to like chuck something in there as a tidbit, like, what does the tavern look like? And you're like, oh, it's a classic, it's teak, or whatever, but essentially that is quite limited. A writer's room or authorial game flips that on its head by saying that as well as thinking about your own character, and you still have a lot of opportunities to embody them, you're also thinking about the overall story and the overall world that surrounds your character and the way that the narrative is going to change as it goes ahead. So a lot of these are either like completely GM-less games or games that are more similar to our games, which tend to have a facilitator whose role is essentially just to help everyone collaborate rather than decide what should happen in the story. And everyone has a responsibility to think about not only acting from the perspective of their character and what their character wants and is interested in, but also thinking about the story as a whole, where it's going next, and what might be useful for other people's characters, as well as the way that the game progresses as a whole too. So basically, you can't just be like, I'm just my character, I don't want to think about anything else. You have to think about everything at the same time. And I actually, in my experience, this kind of writer's room play can actually lead to even more bleed than a more traditional character embodiment can, because not only are you deeply attached to your character, but you also have the ability to shape that character's future, but you have to do it collaboratively with other players who are playing people who are really important to your character and also have the ability to shape your character's future and their character's future. So that intense active collaboration around really personal and sensitive issues such as, you know, like romance or maybe like family, you're going to get disinherited or, or, you know, taking it outside of the Regency setting, like even just whether your character succeeds at doing something and what happens to the town you're in as a result of that can actually ratchet up your emotional connection to the game a lot.
There's a writing phrase called "kill your darlings," and I feel like there's a lot of overlap with what you were just talking about there, Hayley, in, you know, for the overall story, having that dramatic impact, having something bad happen to your character might be better for the overall story and the overall impact, but that's gonna hurt. That is killing your darling in that moment. So I love the way that you explain that. That's amazing. And what are your thoughts on writers' room games, V?
That's a great perspective to it, right? Like, because you do like orchestrate your own misfortunes sometimes in those games, because that is the fun thing to do, and you can see the story going in that way. And there's like that fun, right, where you're also playing with, like, I'm playing for my character's interests sometimes, but sometimes I want to challenge them, and sometimes I want them to grow as a result of this. And oftentimes it surprises me, doesn't, you know, like much like in writers' rooms, that comes of like when you're trying to like make a show or something like that, you kind of want to hit certain plot points, but it's not always set in stone usually. And in these sorts of games, there's usually some way of the game mechanizing what actually comes to pass, right, in the future. But there's always still a range of options. You're not quite sure where it's going to land, and that's
somehow it does. It does. It's something which I like to call the collaborative high. It's when you're building a story with other people where everyone's emotions are invested and you're able to build with each other into a story that you never would have come up with by yourself, and have moments that you never would have been able to if you were just thinking through your own viewpoint, and you just feel this sense of real attachment to the story you've created together, but also to the people who you are creating it with. Like you just feel this amazing sense of having done something important or significant together.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because those people are what shaped that story, right? Like if you take something like a die roll, a D20 die roll to see if you succeed and fail, like sometimes they're like, oh, it's so cool because you rolled it, but it's like the roll is what determined what happened next. Sometimes in some of these like writer room games where it's not a random roll, but it's the people are the randomizers, you kind of don't have that, like what happened next was a direct result of the people that were there at the table, and knowing that you're driving it together, but not ever having full control of it yourself. And that's really cool. It's like, it's a very unique feeling.
Think about how people get attached to their dice after a roll.
Yeah.
Think about how you feel about other people at the table.
Yeah, that's so interesting to hear, and you putting it into those sorts of terms has really solidified. Like I've run several games of Good Society, and I find that there are, and this is sort of a question to you, I guess. So as a facilitator, I sort of facilitate the table, try and get people engaging in that sort of that authorial conversation, in that role playing. Sometimes I find that there can be a bit of a split in the players. Some players come in and they're really good at, say, orchestrating their own misfortune or playing into the stereotype that they're playing into, and they really understand those tropes. Whereas other players are a little bit more reluctant to step out and have a bit more narrative control over the story. I'm assuming you've run hundreds and hundreds of games of Good Society. Have you come across that more reluctant player type? And if so, how or what are your tips for drawing them out of that shell and bringing them more into the collaborative space?
Great question. I'm gonna answer with a few different things. So firstly, I feel like that if you are the kind of person who prefers that more character-led play and you have trouble accessing the authorial mindset, there's nothing inherently wrong with that as long as you're enjoying yourself. So I want to make that clear. Secondly, yeah, on that particular question, actually right now we're conducting a feedback survey for Good Society to see, because we're about to do possibly a reprinting or a rewrite of it to see what it is that we might need to change or improve about the game. And we've been lucky enough to get over 200 responses so far, and it's still running. And a lot of people have commented about, I suppose, the learning curve from stepping from a game like the world's allegedly most popular fantasy role-playing game, which many of them mentioned very explicitly, into a game that does demand that amount of authorial attention. And that's something that is hard at first, but a lot of people also commented that simply through doing it longer, it got easier. And I think that's really true. I think that it is going to feel weird at first in the way that role-playing feels weird at first, right? How weird is it the first time you're like, I am Grumbuild, the dwarf, yes. Because it is a new way of interacting with other humans, and a new way of telling stories together, and people do seem to get used to it the more it goes on. But in terms of how to bring people who are new to the authorial mindset out, the two things that I would say, and I'm sure V has more to add, is that firstly, the power of asking questions works in any game. Doesn't matter if it's authorial or not. Asking questions always brings people out of their shell, right? But you can start to move those questions from questions that are very character focused, like what is your character wearing, to the ball, to questions that are more authorial in their intention, like does your brother know about that? When you enter the family manor, what's the first thing you see on the mantelpiece, right? Questions that ask them to step outside of that. And then you can take them even further as well. And so you're just slowly and progressively inviting them to think beyond their own character to what's happening generally in the game. And the second thing is just to model that behavior, because people are used to this idea of that one person is going to determine the entire thing and then everyone else just inputs as their character, which again is not bad. It's just a different style of play. And as soon as at the table you start showing people the way that you collaborate together to transform each other's stories, other people are like, oh, okay, that's how we do it this way. That's what we're doing now. And I think that a lot of the learning that people described was that. Just being like, oh, okay, right, I understand, I'm realizing now, and I'm getting more used to this idea.
I think you've got it right when people start to suggest those changes, use their resolve tokens in Good Society terms on other people's stories. Like they see an opportunity in another person's story and they want to help explore that because it's interesting to themselves and or they think it'll be interesting to the table. And so you bring that idea up to the table, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool actually if your secret lover was also overhearing this conversation? Would you like that to happen? And that's like a question, but a very gentle way of introducing something to the group. What I like about that kind of collaboration, because of course, people can say yes, no, or that doesn't have to happen, but it's definitely a way of saying, hey, I'm listening to your story. I'm interested in your story. I want to add something. Is that cool? I'm enthusiastic about it. Are you enthusiastic about it? If you're not, let's find a way forward in this story that we're all invested and enthused about. And like when people start to do that of their own accord, you're like, hey, they get it.
Thank you both so much for those tips. And yeah, that was really informative. And I do some of those things, but I think I could do some of them a bit more. And I have noticed that it's those people who have GMing experience in other games that tend to, and like you were saying, Hayley, it is the practice. They have practice at having that authorial voice, so bring it into something like Good Society. It comes naturally to them, and that's I've definitely noticed that in the games that I run.
Because you kind of have to be a bit brave, don't you? Like when you're asserting that voice, when you're not used to it. Because there's something simpler about saying, my character does this. I'm just going to be narrow in my thinking enough to, because it's a bit safe. It's your control. It's very clear. Sometimes with the bigger world stuff, it's not entirely yours. So you kind of want to. At least that was what the thing I struggled the most. You want to like treat it more gently because it's not just yours, and then you don't know where your voice and your platform starts and ends. And I think a really nice table and table culture goes a long way there to help people feel comfortable that their voice is going to be heard and is valuable.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, that real trust between players as well, to not that you're not going to do anything that's going to massively jeopardize someone else or make their game less fun. You're trying to all collaborate on the fun element.
Yeah. As well, and also I feel like a environment where mistakes can be okay.
Yeah.
As well. I think that's huge. I feel like sometimes that's not talked about enough in role-playing games. Like safety, rightly so, is a concept that gets talked about a lot, as it absolutely should. And safety tools and what we can do to make role-playing experiences better for our little human hearts. But I also feel that fostering an environment where it's okay to make a mistake and you can just talk about it and then you can do the care that you need around it and then you can carry on is really, really helpful for authorial games and collaborative games, because it's that sense that you try your best and it's okay if you don't get it perfect that makes people feel safe to contribute narratively.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's what we all need to learn about the real world as well. It's okay. If we can make mistakes in our tabletop role-playing games, we can make mistakes in real life. It's okay.
Yeah.
Isn't there some sort of, it's someone's razor, I think, where it's never ascribed to ill intent, what can be ascribed to
stupidity or whatever it is.
Stupidity.
Oh, yeah.
But I think in this case, it's like never assume ill intent, what can be ascribed to a simple mistake or a misunderstanding.
I'm going to find that right now so that we've got it. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity.
I'm not putting it in those terms.
Words to live by.
You never ascribe to malice in a tabletop role-playing game. What can be attributed to a misunderstanding or a mistake?
Or lack of communication, or just slipped your mind, or, a million other things.
Some bad things happen, not because people have bad intentions, but because they did not think it through properly.
Yeah. So no, that is a very good point. It's definitely an important, and everyone feels better when mistakes happen and they're treated with the care at the table quickly before they escalate into like full out distress, and that's great.
Moving on to future plans, what is coming up in the world of Storybrewers? Last year you were at PAX with your Indie Rising showcase with Fight with Spirit. What's next in the Storybrewers world?
Yeah. What is next? Well, we are just about to release a couple of games there at the printers. So that's probably what we're taking to PAX this year.
So we've got Castles in the Air, which is like to Little Women what Jane Austen is to Good Society. So it's a Gilded Age coming of age game where you both grow up, but then when you grow up, you find out what your life becomes as well. And I love it because I love the time scale of the game. Like, just give me a game that starts when you're 12 and ends when you're like 40. Like, I love seeing how relationships change and the world changes and your place in the world changes through time and that discovery process. And then the second game we have, do you want to pitch that one?
So the second game that's about to come out as well is My Late Father's Correspondence. It is a solo or duet, so 2-player only, epistolary game. It's a letter writing experience. Essentially, it's got 10 different days of letters coming to your characters spread over like a few months of time in the game world time, but you can play it at whatever pace you want to play. And you are responding to these letters. The game itself takes place in 1832. And you are playing Agatha Lockley, and your father's just passed, and you're kind of dealing with his correspondence, your correspondence, the estate's correspondence in these tumultuous times.
It's a really different game to anything we've made before because 90% of the game is just letters. Like it's just pages and pages of letters recreated as if they had been sent in the 1830s, complete with postmarks and charge marks because we became stationary nerds in the process of...
And if you are a stationary nerd, you will love the opportunity.
If you love postal history, the wide variety of people who love postal history will love this game.
Stamp collecting is a classic hobby for a reason.
Philately is important. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, so those are the two that are coming out.
Yes.
And of course we've got, we're also doing the surveys for Good Society. So if you have
played the game
and haven't responded to our survey,
you should do that.
You should please find our website where our survey is and give us.
Stop listening to this episode. Don't finish it. Go finish. Go.
Do two things at once. You know?
Yeah.
That's the ADHD talking, and it is a lie. You cannot fully do two things at once.
I wanted to just touch on one thing because as I normally do prior to these interviews, poodle around on people's websites and poke into the corners that they forget are up there. And I just wanted to touch on all of the community-built stuff from that attaches to Good Society because I think it's a really lovely example of, I don't want to say allowing homebrew and community-driven content into your games, but also promoting it really strongly. Some very popular places and games don't necessarily lean so heavily into promoting community-based and community-built things. What do you love about that community part, and what led you guys to be like, we're going to put that on our website as well and let everyone come play?
Honestly, like what I love about it is everything. Like I'm just so invested. I feel honored that anyone would bother to make additional content for us with the little games. And I've played many of the ones that have been created as well, and played with the people who made them too. And I love it. Like, why should a role-playing game be this static thing where only one person gets to say what is a part of it? It's already dynamic by the virtue of the fact the players are at the table. The more you can make things that are going to make your experience more fun for you and for other people who love the same things as you, like that's the dream.
Yeah.
And so to see that kind of happen and explode in some way, like there's
so many of them, so many.
I think there's over 100 now, different little bits and bobs that are out there for Good Society.
Yeah.
And and just like I want to scream them from the rooftop because I think they're all really cool. It's just an impulse to want to share things you think are cool.
Yeah, it really speaks like we genuinely love collaboration. And it's like another way that I feel like that is there's nothing better than seeing what other people are inspired to do, right? And those things inspire us as well. And it's very fun. It feels like creatively satisfying for me. I'm like, who wouldn't want to put them up on their website and try to like, it's
That's the ultimate collaboration, right?
It's very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, okay, I was like looking, I was like, oh my God, I now want to play I want to invite Count Dracula into my game. I'd not thought of doing this. I should do that. Or I 100% should do Regency era stories meeting modern actor drama. That's definitely not something I know anything about. Not at all.
Just take it to your improv troupe and go, we're doing this now.
Not going to do that. But yeah, no. So if people want to look at interesting stuff, have a look on the website as well because there's so many different little.
Guarantee with 100 different ones out there, there is like one hyper specific thing.
Yes.
That will like
you have been targeted. You just
that you feel like, oh my goodness, that's the one I have to play. Bird Society or whatever it
is. I must play the swashbuckling.
Did Logan write that one? That feels like a Logan coded.
No, but Logan should play that one.
Awesome. Well, on that note, if we don't have anything else to discuss, we might jump into our Fast 5 questions. So, Hayley and V, I hope you're ready for the Fast 5 rapid fire questions. These are incredibly serious. They are...
There's only one person who's ever gotten one wrong, and it's fine.
That is incorrect. There are 2 people that have gotten them
What?
Right.
Did I miss one?
You weren't here for someone who said that she only had one set of dice.
What?
One of the moments I wish that this was a video podcast because Kate's face Delicious.
I just looked forward at my desk and my 8 sets of dice that are sitting on this desk alone and don't understand. The other incorrect answer was pastries as the appropriate table snack, just for reference. That was the only other
What's wrong with pastries?
The crummage.
Crummage and
Sticky.
sticky fingers and like delicious. But at the table?
On that note, you've been prepared. So what is your best gaming table snack?
Grapes. I love grapes.
Small pieces of cheese.
Both are excellent calls.
Yeah, good choices.
Yeah.
Or together. I take both.
Together.
Together also
Fruit
good.
and cheese, classic combo. Now, favorite set of dice or dice size?
Dice size. I like a D6. Classic.
I definitely misinterpreted this question because I was like, I like those really big novelty dice. Like,
Also fair.
that size
larger, the
large.
better.
Yes, that's
like-
it. Sorry.
Stevie's holding up a
Okay.
approximately softball-sized dice.
One I could sit on and
One
support
my
my
dog
puppy.
could pick up and roll.
There are dogs on the internet that do roll dice, and it is very cute.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
This is what I'm
Yeah.
enabling.
No, that is the perfect answer to that question, Hayley. No notes.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite game to introduce new players to the hobby to?
I've done a lot of actually doing this. Fiasco was really great.
Yeah.
There's the second edition, even better. Very high on improv, very silly. No one has to invest too deeply, but they will have a memorable story.
Quiet Ear is another good one because when people are a bit nervous about the idea of playing a character, very much eases you into collaborative storytelling together.
Both excellent picks. Love that. Now, let's just say you've got your grapes and your cheese. You've got your novelty-sized dice that you've given to your doggo to roll. You've got your favorite game to introduce new players to. What other thing do you think you need to have to make the tabletop experience just take it to that next level? What is your next tabletop must-have?
I'm going to go controversial. I'm going to say, so almost all of my role playing is online these days. Like the only time I really play in person is because the only person I'm playing with is V. And even then we play online half the time. Like we're obviously talk to each other in real life, but like we're using online stuff. So my controversial answer is the chat. I am so used to the chat these days being a vital tool wherein not only can the best of jokes be told, but suggestions can be given. There's a constant feedback mechanism. I get to enjoy people's shocked face emojis. Like I feel like that's indispensable for me. When I'm playing without it, I'm like, where's my constant dialogue about what's happening? Like where's my live tweeting about the game? Like
It's the meta layer
yeah,
right
it's the
there.
meta layer right
Where's
there.
the
yeah, I
meme
feel
channel?
bad with that.
Yeah.
Can't get the meme
really
channel
good
in
though,
real life. Where is it?
Yeah. Because then you don't have to interrupt the actual flow of the game or the scene, but you can still get the chat responses. Oh, that's a good one. I really like that.
V, what's your answer then?
Oh, what's my answer?
You're like,
for
I was
that?
going to say a pencil, but it feels lame now.
Yeah, with like really good paper, really smooth pen.
That is still a valid
I mean,
answer.
very valid and very important, not gonna lie.
We have already established that you two are stationary nerds.
My love of stationery. Yeah, no, for sure. Hayley's last gift, surprise present to me was like picked off, best Japanese stationery of the past year.
I love that so much. Now, if you could have any companion or minion or sort of like familiar, that kind of thing, if you could have anything in the whole world, what would it be?
I already have a familiar. I have this beautiful dog. Her name is Holiday, and she follows me around everywhere. So I'm done. I have summoned my familiar.
That's true. I think I'd like my familiar to be a refreshing drink. So then if I get thirsty...
Are they alive? Your familiar.
Oh, okay. I mean...
I'm just picturing like the Kool-Aid man following Hayley around now.
just handing me like... Just constantly being like, half time, and handing me refreshing beverages.
Here's my sommelier providing me with beverages on a regular basis.
Amazing. Now, where can people find out more about you and more about what you do, and where can they respond to that Good Society survey? Where should they look to?
The place to go is our website. If you search for Storybrewers Roleplaying or Good Society, even if you're not looking for Good Society Roleplaying, you will find it. But you can also find us on Blue Sky, also by looking at Storybrewers. And then V is, what are you on Blue Sky?
V Hendro, I think.
V Hendro. Are we anywhere else of note? Not really.
No, but I think
we have a YouTube channel if you want to see an instructional video.
No, but we do have a newsletter.
We do have a newsletter.
That's probably the place to, if you want to keep up with any of our stuff from our website. There's a newsletter sign up, and we have a bunch of stuff there. We always cover some sort of community game or thing that's being made, which is not always games. Sometimes it's art or music or an album that someone made, stuff like that. So it's a very interesting place to be.
That is so cool. Well, thank you both so much for joining us on the Aussie Roll Call podcast. It has been an absolute delight, and I'm sure that this won't be the last time that we talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
In news, I would love to remind you all that the Conquest Games Market is coming up. It is on Saturday, the 30th of August, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Coburg Town Hall. Now, the Conquest Games Market is a one-day event that is designed to showcase local game developers, vendors, suppliers, makers, and artists to the Melbourne tabletop and role-playing gaming community. This is a sister event to the main convention, which happens in Easter, and there will also be tasters of the sorts of games you can expect at Conquest. I feel like the vendors list for this year is huge, and to highlight some of them, they include folks like Dewimon Illustration, who you may know as the person who did the artwork for this particular show, Bespoke Character Creations, D20 Sauce Company, so if you like spicy hot sauces, Maluride Dice, Daiku's Workshop, The Quest Suppliers, Winter Wormling, V2S Games, Scarlet Song, Dark Vigil, and so many more. If you want to check out the full list of vendors, I highly recommend following Conquest Con Melb over on Instagram. And that is all the news I have for this episode.
Some people have been asking us what the best thing they can do is to support the podcast. And honestly, it's rating and reviewing it wherever you're listening to it. It really does help us reach brand new audiences and other listeners just like you. TTRPGs are for everybody, and we want to reach as many people as possible. No matter where you're from, we want you to be part of the discussion, part of the roll call here at Aussie Roll Call.
This podcast is produced in affiliation with the Australian roleplay community. If you'd like to join the ARC community, head to arcrpg.org, where you'll find a link to our vibrant and inclusive Discord server. Your hosts have been Kate O'Sullivan, Dan Machuca, and Stevie Schaefer. Cover art by Helen Graham of Dewimon Studios. Title music is Sweet Sunday Groove by Slailkey. Interstitial music is Newer Wave by Kevin MacLeod, used under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. Production by Stevie Schaefer.